Welcome to Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Today we have Richard Schäfer.
Hello.
As you punch the air with your fist.
I didn't know I thought you were just gonna do like a long intro, but that's the intro.
Yeah, that was it.
Welcome to the show. I guess nice, awesome.
Yeah,
right.
I don't like introducing people because, like, what do I know?
Uh-huh.
I don't know what's changed in your sense of your own identity. You know what I mean? Like,
Great to be here. Are you recording this or what?
yeah, you bet. Where are you, Richard? Where did you go? You were present and then you left.
No, I'm just looking through the jokes that I prepared.
You've prepared jokes.
No, I just wrote this topic that I want to talk about.
Group sex?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just had one experience with it. Yeah.
I'm so glad. We're definitely talking about this.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had a filthy conversation.
Yeah, I don't think we have talked that much, right?
No, we talk about comedy, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, so do you want to introduce yourself? Do you want to do that?
I can do it if you want.
Well, I'm not going to do it.
Okay. My name is Richard. I am 30 years old. I'm from the village in East Germany, from the countryside, living in Berlin for 8 years. And I was having a good time already. That's nice. And started comedy 2.5 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you start in German or start in English?
English.
You did start in English, right?
Yeah. I was Dragos. He had this meetup that he created where he said comedians will meet every Saturday to write. And
I came to that a couple of times.
And also comedy fans can join it and just see comedians work out stuff. And I was like, oh, wow, I want to see how they do it. And then I was there and they said, dude, if you want to try it, just try it, don't wait, just do it yourself. Because I just told them, hey, I really love what you guys are doing. And they were like, just do it.
And you did it?
Yeah.
Where was your first show?
Comedy Cafe Berlin, the Wednesday show.
Oh, Joke Time.
Yeah,
that was what my first show was as
nice.
well. Yeah.
I missed that show. I wish they would come back.
I love that show so much. And you've done my shows, and now I'm doing your shows in German. Now you're hosting in German.
Yeah, welcome to the German scene, by the way.
Yeah.
That started also like a couple of months ago, right?
Yeah. I did my first set in like July, and then I was just like, oof. And then, got back into it a couple of months ago.
Nice. And your German is not that bad. Like one can hear that you've been living here for a while, that you get the grammar. Like, of course, there's little mistakes in it.
Yeah.
But
there's lots of mistakes. Like you can get that I haven't studied it at university or even any courses, but that I think I make mistakes where it's like if you have actually gone to a course, you wouldn't make those mistakes.
Okay. And I think you compensate that by being good in the performance, aspect of it. Like even though the words sometimes need a little. But the performance is great, and how you hit your punchlines in German, like so.
Thanks for saying that. Well, I'd hope that my performance carries over from my English comedy.
Oh yeah, totally.
But I think just like how I live in Germany, it's like my mistakes are just compensated by like being present and like understanding, I guess, what's happening. But like I definitely make errors in my German. So the personality compensates. I don't know, with the kids that I look after still, like, sometimes they just look at me and they're like, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm like,
How do you feel about that?
I'm like, well, I guess that's more your problem than my problem. You're not going to get this candy now.
So okay.
It's like, if you want freedoms, then you have to try to understand.
Yeah. It's nice that you teach your kids with candy. It reminds me of my
I
sister.
don't. I've started doing that, like a little bit. Like I bought a bag of chocolates recently, and I was like, wow, this is the first time I've stooped this low, but I really just bought it because I wanted chocolate. And it was like, well, I have to share it with the kids. So now I have something over them.
Yeah, okay. And also, if the language doesn't work, you still have the little, what is that called? A Pavlovian response, like where you just show people things and they will just react to it.
Like an incentive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're my dogs.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
No.
I don't want to shit on kids. I can't do that. Beautiful creatures.
Really better if you don't shit on kids. Yeah.
Simple-minded, but very grateful, right?
Yeah.
Just like dogs.
Grateful? I wouldn't say kids are grateful.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah.
You have to teach them gratitude.
Okay.
They're not instinctively grateful.
Okay. Because if you don't teach them, then they will just demand more and more and will never be satisfied.
Yeah, or they just think that that's what's like owed to them. Like they, you have to really you have to teach them. Like kids in Germany, I've noticed they don't get taught as intensely as in English cultures to say please and thank you. It's like, would you like more? In English, you absolutely have to say yes, please. But they're just like, yeah. And it's like, not in my culture. It's yeah, no.
Right.
Yeah, bitte.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think more on the countryside, people say more please and thank you in German. Like I grew up with that, and my parents, they always, if I didn't say that, they just time froze and they were like, and I was like, yeah, thank you or please.
Yeah,
But now that you move into the big city, I think that's kind of lost in the
the efficiency of this, the machine.
Yeah, I see it in the office, when I used to work at Zalando, somebody's sneezing and you say Gesundheit, which means bless you. And then you wait until the other person says thank you, because that's... And then they don't say thank you and you're like, oh, I hope that person doesn't get healthy again or something like that, Like,
That's brutal. You were going to say something about your auntie with Candy? No.
Oh, yeah, my sister and her boyfriend, they have a little dog. A little French bulldog that's
again,
like the
you're
trendy
referring
thing.
Like you were relating dogs to children, aren't you? Yeah.
Let's see if it works. The how do you call it? The comparison. But they don't really teach the dog. Like they teach it, but not through repetition and through being harsh, but just giving him treats.
Yeah.
Like whenever he should go outside for a walk and for pee, they just throw like the little dog candy, just throw it onto the door, the door. So he just gets up and goes to the door and eats it. And then they open the door and put another candy outside. And then he goes out and then they put the leash on.
This doesn't seem well thought through at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I gave them as a present for like €100. I gave them like a course, like an online course, how to train your dog.
Imagine if this was like, if this was a child and like you gave someone a parenting course.
True, yeah. Which is, who am I to do that, right?
Right.
To get
Are you older or younger?
Yeah, I'm a little bit 2 years older.
Okay, that's where you're...
But they are more mature, like they're building a house now. Like they're gonna move in February.
Look, more mature. They're just doing things differently, right? You've decided to, live off unemployment and do comedy and...
That's something we don't want to discuss here, please.
It's like when I FaceTime my, let's not discuss that. When I FaceTime my friends in Australia, everyone in Australia and my family is so like, I look at their houses and they've got like all of this space and they have these relationships that are settled and they, have these jobs and they're like planning the next, it's all very settled. Whereas, if I like pick up my computer when I'm FaceTiming them and show them my environment, it's like I'm living in this like kind of weird sort of warehouse hut in the woods, and I've got zero stability except for my comedy shows, and it's like, you know what, we're just doing things differently. It's okay. They're not more mature because they're doing that. Right? It's not a maturity thing.
And they just get what you're doing, and then I think the most important thing is you support each other, right? You get what the other person's doing.
Am I defensive about that? Maybe.
A little bit. Yeah.
But it's not a maturity thing. Like choosing an artistic path and foregoing all of like society's benchmarks of maturity.
Yeah. Maybe that's just my insecurity that I say that they are more mature.
Yeah.
Because I used to think like, from my parents, they built a house early, and I used to think when I'm 30, I should have a house and have an alcohol dependency, Like,
oh, wow. Well, surely you had that already. Right?
Yeah, it's just different ways of life, I guess. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, they've been in the same relationship for 10 years now.
Oh, my God.
She's 27.
17 to 27.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
I think they've opened it up in the middle.
Ooh.
And I promise them I'm never gonna
Is
tell
this where
anybody.
the group sex comes in? Like, hey, sis. No, I'm kidding.
Stepsister.
Oh, is she? No. Not that would make it any better.
What is your theory that there's so much sibling porn nowadays?
My feeling. Well, because I've got 2 stepbrothers and a stepsister.
Oh no, not your feeling. Sorry, your theory. Why this is suddenly in the zeitgeist?
Yeah. I haven't thought about it deeply, but I do my best thinking when I haven't thought about something. No, I don't. But I would say because it's like legally, it's one of those things that's legally, you can. Like, you're not related, you're close. And I think when you've got a sibling, it's like that cousin thing, like the number of people that fuck their cousin. Right? But
yeah, what is a cousin, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's just a definition of something.
But it is a definition of how close your genes are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think...
So, or your skirt. Yeah, sorry.
Or your what? Or your what?
Or your skirt. The jeans or a skirt.
Great.
Yeah, horrible. Yeah, we arrived at...
This is why I have you here today. I guess it's because it's just one of those, like, it's that fine line that you can cross. Like, it's an easy, straight incest porn. It can be a little bit of a psychological leap to really be like, yeah, I want to fuck my brother. Whereas like, your stepbrother is like, there's no genes connected,
Right.
and maybe, or skirts. And maybe also there's a lot of like, it's easy for the mind, but it's still wrong.
Great analogy. I heard one from Toby Azalan, from our friend.
Yeah.
And his theory is just that because it's now more families than ever are like divorced, and it's just more and more people have step siblings. It didn't used to be like that like 30 years ago or something.
Yeah.
So now it's just become a normal thing, and that's why it's also those fantasies grow a little bit more.
Yeah, totally. Like it's more diffuse, and it's less of a psychological leap of faith than pure incest.
Good point.
Yeah.
I had one really tough time with my sister talking about this topic like last year. In Christmas, I was home for 2 weeks.
You were talking about incest porn with your sister?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It was we got into a weird dynamic because the day before Christmas, me and her boyfriend, we all got tested for COVID. And then he tested positive.
Uh-oh.
So he had to, the evening before Christmas, go like in our house, he had to go into the top floor. And he was happy about that. He just took his PlayStation and a big glass of Nutella, and went up there and for 10 days to quarantine.
That was all he had with him.
Yeah. And we made him food, and we Skyped every lunch and dinner together.
Oh, that's super cute. Yeah.
But that's used to be the place where I would sleep, because there's a flat up there. He now has this flat. I'm now sleeping with my sister in the same bed on her boyfriend's side. And we do this for 10 days in a row, right? And I'm single at the time. Her boyfriend is away for 10 days, and we just sleep in the same bed. And after like 7 days or something, she said it that this is weird, right? Because we are both kind of have these needs, right? And of course, we're brother and sister. We would never do that.
Yeah.
But she just talked about it because it's. I think also, I might have had like one wet dream during that time, and that's. And that's a weird thing, and I was
Did she know about it?
No, I couldn't say that.
Yeah, okay.
And I think it was like just a power nap where I had it. I didn't have it at night.
A power wet dream.
No, like a power nap, a power wet nap. Yeah. So just, in the afternoon you lay down for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was that, and that I was alone in the bed. But
you still get wet dreams?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not judging. I have no idea how that works for a man. Yeah, it
just works like you sleep, you have a dream. And then in the dream, something with sex happens. And it's usually very fast. It's not like you have sex for a long time. It's usually you have the image of sex and then climax almost immediately.
And then
you wake up, and it's just...
And you're like, oh.
Just in my pants.
Yeah, I know how wet dreams work, but like I really thought that men stopped having them after a certain point of like maturity.
Thanks. That's a nice way of putting it.
Sorry. So anyway, you had a power nap wet dream during that period, and then your sister randomly brought it up after 7 days.
Approximately. And I was also feeling it, like it's weird that you sleep next to same sex, different sex, doesn't matter, but you sleep next to that person, sooner or later you think about sex, right?
It comes up, yeah.
And that was interesting. And then it's just a...
And then how did the conversation go? Like, did that make you uncomfortable? Was she just putting it out there because she assumed that both of you had thought about it, and she just wanted to like be like, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then go on.
Yeah, it was like that. It was weird for the both of us, and we both acknowledged, wow, yeah, I've been thinking that too. Like, that there is something, and that it's tough to put in words, because in the end, it's like a social contract, right? That you don't do something with your siblings, right?
Yeah.
Unless there might be exceptions when you're deeply in love with your sibling. Who knows, right?
I did look into this quite intensely at one point. What happened, like how that happens, how people fall in love with their siblings.
Interesting. And
yeah, but I want to hear the conclusion. So it was just
we just talked about it, and then it was cool. Then it was like evaporated, and then
just like your wet dream.
we didn't talk. We didn't talk about masturbation. I'm pretty sure we both masturbated during that time, like when I was not there or when she was not there, something like that.
Yeah, like somewhere else, or it's just a week,
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, but still, it was.
Usually, when I'm with my family, if I have to share a room, I don't know. I can't make any rules there. I'd say like I'm less horny, but that's not true. Like I know that when I stay at my parents'. Oh, my stepdad listens to this. Yeah, anyway. Yeah. I like, if I have my own room. But it usually
goes away at the beginning, right? Like when you're with family, it's usually like, cool, I'm happy and I'm so fulfilled here because I'm with my loved ones, that it goes away a little bit. But after 2 days or so, 3 days, you can't fool yourself too long.
Yeah, and I don't usually have that sense of like, I'm so fulfilled by my family. Right. No.
And then comes the shower and the shower head.
No, I don't masturbate in the shower. It's like, that's like I don't know, like trying to run to the train station on a treadmill. Like it's like it's working against me. The water.
Why not just lay down and do your normal environment?
Yeah, in bed, like for sure. Like before I go to sleep, for sure. But
every day?
Every day? No, not every day.
Right, that's healthy.
It depends where I'm at. Like there'll be stretches where I masturbate every day, but then there'll be I'll go for days where I don't, or even But like I don't like to force it. Like if sometimes as I'll be I turn off the light and I'm like no.
I could do it, but also why not just wait? Like why?
Well, it's not even.
Is
like
it now
waiting.
a habit, or is it? Do I want to?
It's more like why? Like am I naturally feeling like I want to do it, or am I doing it because I feel like I should do it? Yeah. And so whenever there's that conversation, it's like, and just go to like if I'm tired, just go to sleep, or if even like I consider masturbating and then I'm like, all of the people that I'm thinking about, I don't want to masturbate to right now, and I'm not really feeling turned on by anything in my environment, so no.
Cool.
But if I can't sleep and I feel like that, but I feel like masturbation will help me sleep, that will be the time when I look at porn.
Right.
But I seldom look at porn. I much prefer using my imagination.
Okay. And audio? Have you tried audio porn?
No, I haven't.
Okay. But you know what it is?
I assume it's just like porn with just pure audio.
Yeah, but it's more like a novel. Somebody reads the story. It's called, some people call it also feminist porn or something like that.
I guess there would be more feminist styles. I'm sure you could get like horrible versions of it.
I just listened to 1 or 2, and it's just a little storyline. Like there's this woman, and then I don't know, whatever, she works in an office, and then it's late at night, and just her and her colleague are left, and there's been tension going on for weeks. But tonight, Sally and Frank are the only ones left in the office. And she knows that he's in the kitchen right now boiling another tea. And she decided to just casually walk by and say hi. And like, it goes like that. And then it slowly goes into detail.
Yeah. Well, actually, Alex Upatov and I were writing a comedic, erotic audio play. In the second lockdown. And that's what we were working on.
Sweet. Did you publish it?
No, we did the first episode, and like then we wanted to really like edit and like change things, and then by the time we got to doing that, the lockdowns, like basically I went to Spain, and then the lockdown lifted, and then we were back doing shows. Right. So we didn't, but we were living together, but we didn't really get back into it. So that's a project for another time, but it's audio porn, because like his voice is very. He gets compliments on his voice.
And your voice is pretty distinctive as well, right?
Yeah. Last weekend I had a woman arrive at my show, and I was talking. She's like, "Oh my God, you're Anna Barros. I listened to your podcast. I could tell by your voice." And I was like, "You can tell by my name on the poster."
Congrats, nice getting recognition, huh?
Yeah, for my voice, But I wanted to, so we got into masturbation, but I wanted to get into the sibling thing, because my brother is 5 years older than me, and we went traveling through Europe together for like 3 months, and in a lot of accommodations we shared a bed. like not big beds sometimes.
Yeah.
But we had an incident when we were much younger, when I was like 20 and he was like 25. And then when we traveled around Europe, it was 5 years later. But we had a family holiday, and all the kids, like my stepbrothers, my stepsister, my brother and I, we were in one room, my parents in another. And my brother and I shared the double bed, and step-siblings shared the bunk beds. And I think it was on the second day. I only stayed for 2 nights. On the second day, I woke up in the middle of the night to my brother spooning me with his thigh over my thigh, like I was little spoon. Like that aggressive spooning. His leg was going over my leg, and I was like, and like getting to the point where I could probably feel him up against. And I was like, "Fuck off, Maddie!" Like I pushed him up, and in his sleep he was like, "Fair's fair," and like rolled over.
Fair is fair. Interesting. Wow, that's an Australian saying for...
Yeah, like that's fair. Like, yeah. But the thing is, there's also a different way of pronouncing that. Like if you say that with a different intonation, if you're like, fair's fair, that's suggesting that you're entitled to something that you're not getting. But if you say fair's fair, it's like, oh yeah, no, that's fair.
Right. And he was sleeping, right? He was unconscious thing, yeah.
Totally asleep. But the next morning I told everyone, and they... and they thought he was saying, "Oh, fair's fair," like he was arguing that he
got rejected.
He got rejected, yeah. And but yeah, so that happened like 5 years before we went traveling, so we already had that situation of like, and my brother and I were both single at the time. Not that ever matters, but it's like,
so you broke the ice already.
Yeah, we'd already exactly. But yeah, then like that never happened again when we were traveling for like 3 months. It was and it was never like that. But it's just it's something that comes up. It's all like that. Yeah.
It's weird how we are conditioned to be, that we naturally want to pull away from that, like touching your siblings or something. And of course, it makes sense that unconsciously we know that if something would happen and offspring would appear, that the quality of that wouldn't be that good, right? And that's maybe the whole organism of the human being protecting itself from damage.
Yes, but I think that's going already too far. Like
too far, right? Like it's almost like Nazi propaganda, right? We're trying to.
No, well, I feel like that's giving us more credit for this. Like, I think what really it is like, if you have you work in a work environment and you fuck a colleague. After you fuck that colleague, you've got to deal with the fact that you fucked that colleague, right? So it's like, if you fuck your family member, you can never escape.
Interesting.
That dynamic. Yeah. Like that's like you're stuck to that forever. There's no like distancing. Like you can, but then you're losing your fucking family. Like,
yeah, no way to do that.
Yeah, so it's just that you can't get away.
Horrible.
From that.
You think that's why sometimes family members don't talk to each other anymore?
Because they fucked.
Just always gonna assume that from now on, when somebody says, "I'm not talking to my brother anymore," like,
yeah, right. I'm not talking to my father anymore. Oh. Well, and that's that can be a reason. But that's definitely why, like, with divorce, that's a thing. Like, I don't talk to my ex-wife. Well, yeah, you fucked her a lot.
Good point. Yeah.
Like, sex makes relationships. That's my one issue with, like, I don't know. I don't know. I've said it a few times, but I'm maybe not sure about it. It's like, as soon as you fuck a friend, all of a sudden the way that friend treats you as a friend is worse than if you hadn't fucked. Like, you might be more respectful to them if you hadn't fucked. And it's like, somehow sex makes people devalue the friendship.
Yeah. To me, it didn't happen really with a friend yet, but it happened to me with sometimes with girls sibling. I really appreciate. Yeah.
The girls that you really...
Yeah, that I really liked. Like, and that was before, I don't know, like 3 years ago, I started to go more into mental health and kind of want to find out more about myself and just work on my character and work on myself. And before that, I used to have it when I'm with girls. The first couple of days or the first couple of dates, it was really nice. I was really interested in that person. And I couldn't switch it off. But the first time we had sex, afterwards, something changed in my valuation of that person also. And I'm not proud of that, right? But it's something that happened. And I knew it before that if I have sex with that person too early, something will change. And
Interesting.
Yeah.
What was the? Yeah, let's explore that. What was? So you stopped being as attracted to them, or you? Yeah, like what was the? That's interesting. What was the change?
I was definitely just more focused on getting laid
Yeah.
when I was with that person. Once we got laid, and then it's kind of also, oh cool, we're having sex now. Maybe that's also the thing that why I was with that person in the first place. Even if we don't fit together, I think that's an attractive body. We should have sex.
Yeah, and that's why, totally. Like the longer you get to know someone, the more you know whether or not they're a good person to have sex with, or a good person for you. And then when you have sex, then that is that technically strengthens the bond, because then you're adding, like if you already really really like them, and like there's lots of elements that you're connecting on, and then the sex just like allows you to share that appreciation on a physical level and like a spiritual level. But like if you have sex too earlier than you've realized that person isn't right for you. Yeah, totally, I agree.
But then you maybe also have to make those mistakes, like,
oh, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah,
Oh, and maybe it's also that the sexual chemistry just wasn't that great. I think that has happened with me for sure. Like getting to know someone and it's good, have sex and it's like, yeah. And then like you're getting to know them more, but the sex isn't improving. And then it's like, okay, there's something like dead here for me. And yeah.
Do you think because you're a woman, and just in my experience from my previous partners, I usually, a lot of women, they just like the how do you say that without getting cancelled?
Ooh.
And I mean this in a helpful way. Sometimes the girl just let the guy do whatever he wants to do and don't communicate really what they want. And sometimes that frustrates me as well, because you feel like I feel like the pressure, or the like, it should be a communicative thing between both people, right? And was it always easy for you to communicate your needs, or did you ever
sexual needs?
Yeah.
No, it's not easy at all. Like being able to say no to things. Yes, like, but even then, like that's something that with practice, like, you know, there are guys that have fingered me so hard, and it's like it's like no, like it's only because it's hurting that I'm like stop, you know. But communicating what I actually like, the thing is, and this is my how I justify I'm very good at communicating everything except for maybe vulnerable feelings of love. And then also like what I want sexually. The thing is, communicating what you want sexually, I think it depends on who you're with. It depends on the dynamic. And I also don't like being that person who, I think maybe there were periods in my life where I was a lot more like, no, I want this, and no, this and this. And then that felt like it damaged the dynamic, being too dictatorial.
Because you took it out of an organic process that we do for like an hour tonight into let's write this down before or whatever, and being too pedantic about it.
Yeah, no, not even that, but just like during the process being like, oh, can you do this, or no, that's like trying to get them, like, for example, stimulating the clitoris, like how hard is it to it takes a lot of time before a guy really, not a lot of time, but like it's you know, everyone's different, and so like pressure and like rhythm, or you know, all these things it can take a little while, you know, before you get there, and so get to the right like
it's like creating like a good techno beat or something. You need everything needs to be okay, like the rhythm, the beat.
Yeah, it's like a song more than just a beat, because there's, you know, different, doesn't have to stay constant, you know, it can move into different phases of the song, right?
Oh, and like a good song, it sometimes needs a build up, and then you get a and then you go.
Exactly, Richard,
interesting.
Exactly.
Okay.
But but it's also like dicks are different as well, and it's like if like I don't like to go in full confidence with a dick because maybe this is different to the last one. I don't want to. So it's like I think the way for me going into sex is like move into it a bit slowly. With a little bit of communication, and the more you get to know each other, the more you're able to be like, actually this, or could we try this, but like you need to build the trust to be able to then communicate what you want sexually. Yeah. And but it's like it's uncomfortable to be like, oh yeah, so this is okay. That's why I brought up the clitoris thing. It's like, yeah, I used to go in more with like giving feedback as to how they are touching my body quite quickly, and now my approach is more like, let's see what they're doing and give them some time to do it, and then I can, if anything's uncomfortable, sure, I'll communicate.
But you give like some sort of a vocal feedback, and where they know, all right, this is good, this is maybe.
Yeah. There's sounds of pleasure. There's also like physical maneuvering to be like, oh, maybe put your hand here or whatever. But not like, never like this and like this and like this. But I think earlier in my 20s, I might have been like, oh, that's like, can you go softer? Can you go faster? And then communicating that ended up, I saw a drop in confidence and comfort in my partners if I communicated that too much. So now I'm just like, let's see how it goes. Use other sort of communication techniques. And then after enough trust has been built up, then more, articulated feedback can come into it. Yeah, but it's like getting like sex for the first. That's why one night stands are so frustrating, because there's no way. Very, very rarely am I gonna be able to orgasm with someone the first time I have sex with them, and so it takes a long time to build up that communication ability with someone.
The ability to orgasm, is that something you learned also, like over the time, like compared to when you were 18 to 28 to now 42?
Definitely 42. Fuck you.
So that's something you really...
Why? Why?
Just kidding. Just thought I get a little step in. I don't know.
Fuck.
Wait, are we recording this?
Is this thing on?
Cool. So that's something you learned as well, right?
How to orgasm?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it's only in the last two years that I've learned how to orgasm from my G-spot, for example, and not just from my clitoris. And there's lots of women who don't orgasm from their G-spot. So yeah, it's still a learning thing.
Do you do exercises to contract, in Germany we'd say Beckenbodenmuskulatur? Does that help?
Beckenbodenmuskulatur.
Yeah.
Kegels,
yes.
Not intentionally.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't do a workout for my vagina. No.
Right.
No.
Because I have this one friend. She's a physiotherapist, and she says that she believes that if women, the better they know their body and the more it's trained also down there, the better the ability to orgasm.
Totally.
Which is so different, because for us it's just like, it works a little bit easier. Nature loves us.
Right. Like I'm working on a bit, or I've got an idea. I took it to Inside Jokes on Monday, and it got like a huge response from the audience, but I didn't get any development in my joke concept. But basically, the comedian Michael Shea, he's got a bit where he talks about how, every man has his cinematic reel in his head to stop himself from coming too early.
Yep.
And whether it's, picture of your mum, or fucking a cold
animal or whatever.
I don't know exactly. Yeah. And for women, it's exactly the opposite. It's like we have a whole process in our head to try and fucking focus so we come. Like coming, in order for us to come, we have to be so present with our bodies and push out all of reality, or all of our insecure. We have to focus so hard on coming, whereas men have to spend so much time distracting themselves from coming.
Wow, that's interesting.
Right? And also you saying, and that ties in exactly the same. It's like men just can come at any, like, you guys have to teach yourself how to not come too early. We have to fucking train ourselves to be able to come.
Wow. And what's the image in the head? Like, is it it's the sexual image, right? Or is it just...
Well, it depends on what's happening. But let's say, like, for me to come if I'm with someone that I like, hopefully, I'm really focusing on, like, what's happening to me physically, like focusing on focusing on the sensations and probably how it looks like, my clitoris or my, like,
eyes closed
vagina.
or open?
Eyes closed. Yeah, for me to come, I definitely have to have I have to. Even when I masturbate by myself at home, it's eyes closed.
It's like, oh!
Yeah.
That's like from the cartoons, like the Kamehameha or something, like, oh. Cool. So
yeah, and usually, like, my face is very, like, scrunched up and focused, I guess.
Otherwise, it would be a psycho, right? If you can come with your eyes open, that's like super creepy. It's like,
yes, that would be super creepy. And like maybe if I, so when it's like I'm having sex, like penetrative sex as well, it's like I'm focusing in on what, like, the visuals of what's happening in my vagina or wherever around it. And I'm really, it's like I'm making a porn movie in my head of, like, close-ups of my genitals.
So interesting. Okay. But from both partners, right? Like from your genitals and also...
both. Yeah, what's happening. Like, and whether it's like, sometimes it's like an inside view.
Wow, really?
Inside,
that's like a little documentary. Like, and at this point, the penis was entering.
And it's sliding.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah. Or the other thing I have when I'm really the other thing is I get and I've talked about this on my podcast before, actually. I get really intense visuals, like eyes closed, kind of, not hallucinations, but they're like visuals. So like one thing I had, I don't know, my most recent one is like I was on like the planet, like it was like a Mars kind of planet environment, and there were like purple mountains and like,
and then Matt Damon came in.
Not even. But no, it was purely colors, and often scenes from nature, but very like geometric and and it's like this whole, I go into like a whole different universe of colors and images, and and so either it's me focusing on the body parts, or it's me kind of like tripping.
Interesting.
Visually.
Yeah, I have this tripping thing sometimes. Right when we finish, and then you hug each other, and then you really just try to breathe and just feel the hug. Then where I also feel like there's still a lot of energy exchange, kind of, and like geometric patterns and stuff like that.
Yeah. And whole landscapes. It's a very landscapey thing. Yeah. But it's and so you saying also like like women have to sort of train themselves to, like, the fact that women. And I'm wondering, women have to train themselves to like we learn pretty early how to orgasm from our clitoris, but not everyone. Like, you know, Moni was on my podcast. You live with Moni now. Like, she'd never had an orgasm until this year. She's said that publicly. I'm not. I'm not.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I think the Chinese government, they don't allow it.
I think
it's like a censorship thing. Yeah.
But also
the vision gets blurry when she comes.
Or they just. I don't know. It's some like one child, but like no orgasm policy, one child policy. But I wonder, and I hate using this word, the P word, but I wonder how much the patriarchy, I wonder how much women's oppression has stopped us from passing on this information, or like with, you know, the sisterhood, the wild woman, having an orgasm is such a loss of control, and it's such a sexual, like women's chastity and you know, restricting their own sort of sexuality is so important for us to, you know, have value in society, I think social structures have really are probably, I want to put it out there, are probably the responsible cause of why women don't know how to come and have to work so hard psychologically to be able to come. Also, like, just the amount of pressure we're under to be, our value is so connected to our physical attractiveness and all of these things. So to be able to just relax naked and like lose control in pleasure is not a comfortable thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a woman, so I can't give any feedback. But it definitely, I think it's coming. I mean, it makes sense historically, like the role of the woman and maybe how guys viewed them as well. Maybe that's something that's now coming back with the whole spirituality movement. Because I was talking to my friends on the weekend and we were talking about, I don't know, some horror stories where like a guy was dating a friend of a friend, and then like one day he asked her, hey, I don't want to use a condom, and she was like, oh no, I want to use a condom, and he was like, well, but we didn't use a condom before once, and she was like, what? I don't remember that. And he was like, yeah, when you were sleeping, and you were really drunk and you were like half asleep or whatever, yeah. And then she was like, whoa, I don't remember that. We didn't talk about that. And I'm also not on birth control, so
What
right.
the fuck?
And then he like blocked her and didn't contact her again. Like a really weird thing. Yeah, horrible stuff. And then we as friends, we talked about how we could never do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think the difference between us is because we are kind of like, I call them my spiritual friends, because they're very like, we take acid together and we do like rituals with mushrooms where we go to like do introspective journeys and we try to work on ourselves. And I feel like this whole, you want to make the other person come and you want to feel empathy for that.
Yeah.
That's also a question of how much you're connected to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big question that a man that's connected to himself, he will feel like, oh, if I want to have fun, I can only do that if I also see that my partner enjoys this, right?
Yeah.
And I want to give maximum pleasure to my partner too.
Yep.
And I think that's like the whole movement that's coming up now with the spiritual movement, with like the vegan movement about we want to love and connect with each other again. I think that's just something that's now coming back again.
I think it is. I think yeah. I think it's been, well, society's trying to move more to like, well, also climate change and like how much the planet is fucked, and
Yeah, and even more that there's a theory about, like, there's so many atomic weapons nowadays, like nuclear weapons, that we could commit planetary suicide now, right? If everybody like shot off their nukes. So everybody's a little bit more tense, right? There's all this North Korea and whatever, and they have nuclear
Although
weapons.
that's been like that for a while. Well, at least nationalistic, mutually assured destruction has existed since the 60s. But now it's like the entire planet could...
Exactly, yeah. And
how we've progressed.
Yeah. And the only thing that's countering that is like the culture kind of, what the people are doing to kind of balance this negative force that's there, this negative potential. And that's why maybe something like the vegan movement and this whole spiritual movement with yoga and all that stuff is coming up now to balance that.
More people are meditating and...
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much... Like, I think we're exposed to those like subcultures or those things. I'm not sure how much they're, gaining popularity in like mainstream. I
mean, you see it in hip hop maybe, hip hop like 20 years ago was a lot about violence and banging girls and drugs, and now Drake is the biggest, right? And Drake is more kind of advocating like this feeling thing, like he's this vulnerable rapper and all that stuff. So I think it's showing in the culture a bit.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I think the picture of a man has also changed.
Yeah.
And also the picture of a woman has changed, right?
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done to for masculinity. I think most of the problems with that we have, that feminism is fighting for, also stem from that. There's not enough flexibility of what masculinity can be, and because masculinity has been so sort of not looked at and opened up and being cared for, that then continues to perpetuate and create problems for women in society as well, because men are still so stuck in yeah.
It's a big one. I'm trying to work on a bit about that, like that my dad, he's working really hard, he's this generation now born in the 60s or 50s or 60s, and he's this guy you can't talk about feelings, about feelings.
Oh, totally.
And that's so, he's such a hardworking person, but the thing that makes him most uncomfortable is when I give him a hug and tell him, I love you, dude, and you feel him tense up and like in a fight or something where they tap out, right? Just taps out on my shoulder. It's okay now. It's okay, son.
Yeah. My dad's of the same generation, and even my mum is. She's like both my parents are very much of that generation, and very not comfortable with physical, affection.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Because I studied Italian, I think I brought that in a bit, because I had like an Italian partner and his mum was very touchy-feely. Like I was in like sort of more Latino cultures, and so I kind of have tried to bring that in, and I love a hug, I love, and I try to do that with my family, but it's not in the culture at all. Very Anglo, but yeah. But let's speaking of like hugging lots of people, let's hear your group sex story.
Oh, nice. I'm glad you asked. This seems like an interview here. What is it's just it was New Year's 2018, and I was in Dresden on the countryside, right? At my family's place, and my colleague from Zalando, just erase that, and and this person called me or wrote me a message and says, hey, I'm in Berlin here, I'm with my boyfriend and also with another friend, and we're all super fucked up, you want to come over and we just have a good time together.
Hold on, you were in Dresden?
Yeah.
They were in Berlin?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Dresden is 2 hours away.
Yeah.
And then her boyfriend texts me as well and sends me photos of the girls like in underwear or whatever. And he's like, hey, this is crazy, what's happening here? You should come over. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go. So I was just stayed in my pajamas. It was like, it was the night before New Year's, kind of that thing. And just took the car and went up there, like 2 hours drive,
Mm-hmm.
I left at 10 p.m. I was there at 12 or something, or
nice.
or 11. And then they were super fucked up, super drunk, and like, And then we split. It was like my friend and her boyfriend, they first tried to connect me with this girl, but she was psychoanalyzing me and telling me, like, she was like, yeah, and you're insecure because of that. It was really weird the first time I met her, and she really hurt me a little bit. And I think it was because she wanted to be hurt back, like she was like provocating me, because she said whatever her fantasy is to be like slept heavily and choked and whatever.
So she was provoking you so you could have some rough sex with
exactly
her.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
And
I wonder if that's what I'm doing. Subconsciously. No,
I think that's what we're doing all the time, right?
Yeah,
a little bit. When we provoke somebody else, it's a sign of love, right? Or sign of affection.
Yeah, but
like a friendly stabbing thing.
Yeah.
And then, it was weird. Then we started to have something a little bit. And she was like, always just trying to get off the bed, and I would hold her a little bit, and then she would still try to get off. And I'm like, I don't know how much I should fight this now. I'll fight her. And I was like, just let go. And it didn't happen really. I think
that's scary.
Yeah. If you would have been more drunk, and then this whole play would have maybe worked out, but anyway, it didn't. It was good that it didn't, maybe, right?
Yeah. And
then we switched partners. So I'm in the bedroom now with my friend and her boyfriend, and the other girl in the other room. And we're just laying in bed and talking a bit, right? Just laying next to each other talking. And suddenly you hear from the other room, like the girl just you hear the boyfriend this morning, like, and then my friend, she's like, she's giving him probably a blowjob right now. And you now look at her, and didn't seem happy about it. She was like a little bit jealous, like, this whole like negative, she's giving him a blowjob right now. And then you hear like the whole, like, you hear like that, right? And she's like, they're probably doing doggy right now. And I'm like, Yeah, probably. It was really awkward because she didn't feel comfortable, and then what do you do?
What
Right?
do you do?
It's weird.
You're like, do you
And-
want to balance this out?
Yeah, just uncomfortable. Because I felt sorry for the girl too. Because did she really want to do that, or whose idea is this whole thing?
Yeah.
Hearing, or maybe she thought it would be a good thing, and now she heard her boyfriend doing it and didn't like it at all.
Yeah. It's very complicated when
Yeah, that was so
open
weird.
relationships. Okay.
And then we ended up having sex, and this is, I'm also not very proud of this, but it just happened the way it happened. That she was like, yeah, what do you want to do that you haven't done before? Maybe what's something you would like to experience? And and I asked her if she wants to eat my ass, you know. And he was like, yeah, I can do that. And then she did that, and then it's just horrible.
So she ate your ass.
Exactly. And then I have to close my eyes because I'm feeling ashamed, but it's also a fun story. Did that, and then there was some more oral action going on later, and I ended up coming in her mouth, right? And then we lay next to each other again, and we're just talking, and it's just the smell comes over of my ass and also my cum out of her mouth, you know. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. This shouldn't have done. I felt like, oh, this was dirty, right? This was not very pure, and she, who knows if she enjoyed the whole thing. And then it was all over, and they were in the other room. They were done as well. And then she like got up and went to the hallway, and her boyfriend came. I just saw them kissing each other. And I was like, oh, what is he thinking now? What is the whole thing? And then we just walk around and chat a bit. And this boyfriend, he like looks at me like a big, strong guy, and he was like, so how was it fucking my girlfriend? And I'm like, oh, yeah, it was nice. Because you don't know, you don't want to seem weak or whatever, or say it was weird because you don't want to kill the vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, you also don't want to say, yeah, it was super good. I don't want to.
You don't want to,
be like in competition with you or something. And that was, the whole thing was off.
You went like, so did you like the taste in your girlfriend's mouth?
Yeah, I was so like, I didn't want to talk about that with him too, right? And yeah, then the whole thing ended with him and his girlfriend. They slept in their bed, and I slept on the sofa with this other girl. And she was super fucked up. And we were both laying there, and then suddenly she got up and started to kiss me, right? I was like, oh, cool, some action's going on. But she was so drunk that she was standing at the sofa and kissing me, and then she somehow lost balance and she fell back onto like a glass table.
No.
Yeah. And then
I knew there was going to be a glass table when she fell back.
So fucked up.
Fuck.
And then, I was like, hey, no problem. And I just went up and I kissed her a little bit, and then...
Oh, but she didn't break the glass table.
A little bit, and then I felt like blood on her leg, right? And we turned on the light, and I was like a huge, like, it was just like 2 centimeters wide, but also really deep cut and just blood leaking out. And I'm like, shit, you're bleeding right now. And I just took a towel and put it on there, and she was like, yeah, it's all right, let's just keep going. And I was like, no, it's bleeding pretty heavily. We have to call an ambulance probably, right? Like it was a deep cut.
Yeah.
And then we ended up, I drove her to the hospital.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend, my friend and her boyfriend, they came with me in the car, and we drove her together. Like everybody was fucked up. We didn't know, should we call an ambulance now or whatever?
Yeah.
And then, it was 4 a.m, and we drove that bitch to the hospital.
The poor thing.
Yeah, and that was my group sex thing.
Fuck,
yeah.
That's... I think whenever a story ends up at the hospital, it's like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
Like, it's never good. Wow, that's a... Yeah, most of my group sex has been like that's not in the same room. Like, it is group sex because, like, everyone was kind of... Yeah, like, there was partner swapping. Yeah.
But
like,
group sex would be in the same room, yeah.
It doesn't have to be. It's more like group sex. I feel like is you can see everybody. But I don't think that's a set definition. Maybe.
Yeah, I think they were scared of that too. There was a big living room and a big sofa. It was just that this whole thing, it was more than they could swallow, kind of.
Well, she sounded like she did a good job. But yeah, okay. Oh, and that whole thing of like whether or not they actually want to have sex with other people in their relationship, and that whole God, I was thinking about that the other day. It was like that whole kind of monogamy, jealousy, having sex with like that fear of your partner having sex with someone else. It's like, oof, that sick feeling in your stomach if that's the rule, that you don't have sex with other people.
How are you about that? You probably tried both, right? You tried monogamy and you tried the open thing.
Yeah.
Both is not easy, probably.
Both
right?
are not. Yeah, I think all relationships require a lot of communication and work. And like, I don't know. Like, there's this. Have you heard the idea that some people are naturally non-monogamous?
Haven't heard of that.
Kind of like they're naturally homosexual or naturally bisexual. Like it's like genetic.
Interesting. No.
Okay, that's a theory I've heard recently, and it's like, because I wonder, like, a lot of people's relationships end because, oh, look, I got attracted to someone else. And I had Tara on this podcast a couple of weeks ago, and she said something really interesting, that like love, like romantic love, only lasts for like a year to 2 years, and then after that, it's this evolutionary thing that kicks in if you want to procreate. And then that evolutionary like love bond usually only lasts for like 5 years.
And is this for men and women the same? Cause
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the same. But then after that 5 years, if you do have kids, then there's not really a love thing. It's like a choice of just like, do we stay together for practical reasons because you're good, and but like that love feeling, like the chemical love feeling, apparently. I'd like to read into this and see what the data is, but apparently, yeah, that's no longer there.
Right, yeah.
And that's not something that you keep.
Jordan Peterson says that as well. He's a
Oof.
very controversial figure.
Oof.
Oh, really? You don't like him that much?
Oh,
huh?
come on, mate. Really? Like, yeah. No.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm.
What do you like about his theories?
Well,
What
first of all,
theories?
we can maybe talk about this one theory he has.
Yeah, let's do that.
Just see that you have a USB stick there that's formed like a naked man with an erect penis.
Oh no, that's a lighter.
Oh, that's a lighter. Yeah.
But yeah,
Interesting.
it's a great. Yeah, it was actually found in a Berghain darkroom.
Nice.
Yeah, Lena Stolby gave it to me. Of course.
Yeah.
And the best part is even the lighter itself has got three
Really?
X's on it. And it's red and
Nice.
black. Anyway,
Can I hold it for a second?
you may.
And
hold it.
it's interesting because the top of the penis is red and the rest is like skin color.
Yeah, it is
the
a
Fire hot penis.
It's a fire hot penis. It's
And Jordan Peterson says that
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson. That's how I'm gonna call my.
I'm gonna call Jordan Peterson from now.
Yeah, and this guy, this dick, he said that also relationships, if you wanna, there's this question, people ask him, how do I find the right partner that I want to spend the rest of my life with? How do I find that? Usually it's men that ask this question, how do I find the right woman? Because his main audience is male.
Yeah.
And he says, you don't find that person, it's a choice. Just like you said, it's a choice that you make at a certain point that you want to spend the rest of your life with that person.
Yeah.
And he recommends that your main character traits are kind of similar. That you don't like industriousness, for example, or agreeableness. Like agreeableness, if that's high in one person and very low in the other person, they will not get along, because the very agreeable person will always think of the other person that they are just stone cold and not empathetic and just too strict. And a non-agreeable person will always think of the other person as being weak by, hey, why does he or she? Yeah, so he recommends that the main 5 character traits are kind of similar, and then that it's a choice. And I feel like I'm now at the point in my life, I'm 30 now, I'm just now at a point like this year where I really made a choice of being with a girl. Yeah. I never had that before.
You never had a long-term relationship?
No, I 2012, 2013, 2011, like those 3 years I was in a relationship with a Korean girl. But we met in Australia, 2 months there, then she was in Germany for a month. And then in the middle we had a couple of months break because different countries. And then I was in Korea for 1.5 years.
Oh, shit.
And that was like an on-off thing. A lot of times on, but I was also, was off as well from time to time.
I didn't know you lived in Korea for 1.5 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I was just in love with that girl. I want to spend time with her. So I moved over and she helped me to get jobs. I was working as a model there as well because they have a lot of fashion in Korea.
Yeah, they do.
And then,
You're a model in Korea.
Yeah.
Do you write that in your comedy biography?
In the biography, yeah, for sure. It's because Korea it's the opposite of Australia. It's not a hang loose or good day, mate. It's more like bow down and work.
Yeah.
So it was a good, after 1 year in Australia, you are the no worries mentality.
Yeah.
Then you go to Korea and you see the other side of, I'm going to work myself to death.
Yeah.
And then you come out of those two and you see, oh, maybe you can take the best of those two things.
Yeah. Have you got jokes about that? Because that's...
Not at all.
I wonder if you can...
Like the only funny thing was that I worked as a model there, and then one time a company said, hey dude, as a model you kind of suck, but you can work on the computer if you want for us. And then I was like, yeah, okay.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
you suck as a model. Like you think, when you think about models, it's like, if you can be a model, then you're a model, like you're a good model. But like, to suck at being a model, it's like,
yeah, they just wear weird, like their clothing, they had very slim fit clothing. And I kind of I had a little belly. Or like they just wanted like the mannequin body kind of, and
so it was like a physical criticism.
Yeah, and they wanted to go into the whole slim fit thing, and that's why every shirt they were putting onto me, they always put like clamps from the handcuffs or handkerchiefs or whatever all the way to the arm, and then the sleeves, and then the back as well, so that everything seems super tight. They put that it seems like super slim fit, like a neoprene suit or something. Yeah, it was just.
Interesting.
Well, anyway, I don't want to put the blame on them. I also just blinked every time the big flash came. They're like, keep your eyes open. It hurts after a while.
You sucked as a model. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had a relationship for that's like almost 2 years. 2 years?
Yeah, but I always, in my head, I kept it open.
Yeah. In your head?
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. But that wasn't the agreement.
Yeah, sometimes not. No.
Interesting. I have never done that. I've never but I'm also just the kind of, I'm very honest, and I like to communicate expectations. And I've cheated. I've definitely cheated, but it's always been towards the end of a relationship, or when there's been when I've just been in a total state of crisis, and then I've acted out, and then I've ended the relationship that I had, because it was like, okay, I'm not okay here. And I did this, and I was honest about it. But yeah, I've never done that thing where, oh my God. Okay, speaking of threesomes, I don't know if he listens to this, but I've got a he's a fan. He comes to some of my shows. He's not like crazy always there, but he comes to my shows regularly. And he's an older man, and he's married.
Woo!
And he came to my show the other day, and he's like, Anna, I've got a story for you. And I was like, okay. And he was like, so I'm married? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I've got a girlfriend as well. And I'm like, okay, does she know about your wife? Like, does your wife know? And he's like, no. I was like, okay. He's like, and so I was having this threesome with my girlfriend, with this other guy, and we both came in her mouth. And afterwards, my girlfriend said, afterwards we were talking, my girlfriend and I was like, how was that for you? And she was like, oh, baby, I love you so much, but I want you to know that I only swallowed your cum. And this fan told me that in that moment, he thought of me. And he was like, I can't wait to tell Anna this.
Ah.
And so I've managed to get into the head of someone such that his girlfriend says the words, I only swallowed your cum because I love you so much. And he immediately thinks of me like that.
It's a story, and I would like, yeah, awesome. And now we're talking about it. That's so cool.
It's like, yeah, wow. Ew, like I was there in that moment for him. Like, wow, I've really got my brand, don't I? Jesus.
Yeah, and talking about your brand, do you have like a little section where you give advice?
I don't. And like I did actually put a call to action out to be like, if anyone has a question they want to ask, because I've got lots of listeners. I think I've got now over like 8,500 downloads, nice. And it's like kind of close to 1,000 downloads a month, which is not lots in terms of podcasting world if you want to make That's money, nice. But it's like there's a lot of people listening. So I asked people to like ask me stuff, but no one has.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm curious because I'm now in a relationship, maybe 6 months in, and I feel like I want to give her also the broad variety of pleasures, and I don't know how to start that, how to initiate that. Or do you have any tips to kind of, I don't know, this is such a broad question, but how to get that thing going? Like, she has a satisfier, right? I'm like, let's get the satisfier in, right? Let's try that.
You mean the one that's the air pulsation for the clitoris?
Exactly. Yeah. And once we did it, and I think it was okay. I was very surprised because I had a girlfriend before. She used that too during sex, but more often.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that the girlfriend before, there was like a very high intensity of, there was like, right? And now my girlfriend, now she's just like,
okay, so
much lower.
The setting that she likes,
exactly,
the setting is much lower.
So that was interesting. Cool. That's different settings. It doesn't have to be always on like the whatever
most intense one.
Yeah.
But that goes to show, like, that's a perfect demonstration of like different clitorises need different stimulation, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so you're bringing the satisfier into sex now?
But she doesn't like it that much.
Okay.
Of course, it has to be her choice. I'm not like,
for
whoopsie,
sure.
Look what is this doing here?
How about we turn this on and see what we can do together? So what you're wanting to do is open up the conversation, or open up. I guess it's opening up the conversation about sexual experimentation.
Yeah, because you know what? As a man, I can give you this feedback that there's usually a lot of guilt towards, I need to make my girlfriend come, or I want to make my girlfriend come, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's too much pressure for both parties. But that's constantly in the back of my mind. And that's why I was so happy that there's some things like the satisfier, but maybe I can't just put all the Verantwortung.
Expectation? No, responsibility.
Yeah, I can't put all the responsibility onto this little device, right?
No, you can't. But is there, okay, so...
and we talked about it, and then she's like, no, it's fine. Like, I like the way we have sex, so it's all good. That's her answer.
Okay, well, that's fine, right? Like, if she says, I like the way we have sex, it's all good, then you got to take that, I think. For some reason, I feel like just creating, like, just this laying out a CV of my relationship. Cause I feel like, I'm not sure if people, So I've had like maybe three, almost 3 year, like 3, 2.5, 2-year relationships where I lived with partners. And then like a couple that were, another 2-year relationship, and then a couple of 1-year relationships. And I've had one that was completely open, although it wasn't open to start with, and it was open in the sense of like we would have sex with other people, but always in the same room.
That's a cool rule.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that was my marriage. We had that was our, I really like that actually, because it was like, if we're having sex with other people, this is to stimulate our sex life when we don't have other people around, so we get to watch each other have pleasure with other people.
That's so cool.
And we extend it. And
wow, but super intense, huh?
It was great. Like, I don't, like, for me, an open relationship, I've never had success, but I've also just never had the right partner, where an open relationship where we spend time getting to know other people separately and having sex with them, for me, that seems like it's taking away energy from your primary relationship. And, because it is, for, like, I would want a hierarchical, non-monogamous thing where it's like, I'm the primary and then we fuck other people to stimulate that. But it's like putting time into getting to know other people, and then there's always this like tally, this balance book of like, oh, well, I fucked 2 people this week, he hasn't fucked anyone, I should probably stop fucking people for a while so he doesn't feel like he's not enjoying the open relationship, you know what I mean? Whereas if it's just sex with other people together, the openness is really only about fulfilling sexual fantasies and sexual experimentation, and it's not about diluting or sharing your romantic love with other people. It's really just sharing the physical pleasures. Well, you're okay, so it sounds like I don't want to be like, I'm not a psychologist, but it sounds like your interest in developing your sexual experimentation with your partner is more based on your insecurity that she's not enjoying it, and it's not coming from her. But I suppose it's like, for example, with my ex-husband, he was like, oh, let's get some toys for you. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, I had a vibrator for years. I wasn't a big fan of using it, but I was like, yeah, okay, let's get some stuff. But that was also prompted by, for example, I did have some things that I liked doing that we weren't doing. So like, I already enjoyed and would enjoy with him like anal sex, and so opening up to different toys and doing different things with that. It was like, if there's some activity that you guys like doing together, but maybe it could be exploited more with toys, then you could be like, you want to shop online and see what we could, like, what would you like to add? But I suppose you need to preface it, like explain that it's not that you're not satisfied, it's that you want to expand your ability to give her pleasure. So I don't know, you could be like, what, I don't know what, you don't need to tell me all the things that you guys like doing, but maybe there are areas it's like where there's a little bit of S&M, like a little bit of slapping, a little bit of, or maybe some role play stuff, or like
I like how you slipped into an Italian voice a little bit now with the slapping.
a little bit of role play, a little bit of slapping. No, did I?
Interesting. Yeah, it resonated when you said that maybe that's your insecurity, because if she gives you the feedback of, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
Then I think what I'm really more afraid of is like emotional intimacy, like really sharing what scares me or what I'm afraid of, whatever. Like this whole thing about saying I love you or whatever. I'm scared to lose you. Like that's oi.
Yeah, those are scary things. Or I'm scared to. Yeah, those things are terrifying. Or just like I can relate completely. Like telling someone how much you want them in your life, or that you do really like them, or that you would like to have a future with them. Like that stuff that's can be quite scary to say. But I think if both parties feel like that, there can be, you get to a point where that's
it's just the truth, and that's maybe,
and where you both manifest the energy that it feels good to say that, because you feel safe. Because you feel like that's what the other person is feeling as well. Take those little verbal communication steps until you meet in the middle and you've both said the same thing.
Yeah, it's funny. We are both German, and we started to saying "love you," "love ya," after maybe 4 months or so.
Yeah.
And now, like last week, the first time we said it in German.
Ooh.
Lieb dich. And one day it will probably be "ich liebe dich." So, but this. Such a funny dance around the truth, right? Around vulnerability and all that stuff, because nobody wants to get burned, but but it's there, the fire's there.
Totally. Totally. Love, man. It's been a while. It's really lovely that you have something. I'm really happy for you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think I was spoiled in my 20s, and it's not that I was spoiled, but I've been in love a lot.
But you're working so much the last couple of months. Do you even have time to kind of fall in love, or to open yourself up to it?
Yes, I do have time, and I'm just meeting people that are not good.
Tinder, Bumble, what is your?
Most of the people that I really fall for are just random, like meet them in person. Yeah. And
then you talk to them, or they talk to you, or you just let it go?
Just kind of a few of them have been at shows.
Okay.
Or just like mixing. I just being in the same place at the same time and meeting somehow. Yeah. I
mean, you have a lot of podcast listeners. They know you quite well now. Maybe you could ask them if there was somebody interested.
I also have some people who there are people that want to spend time with me that I just don't know them that well, and there's not that initial chemistry. So it's like when there's not that initial chemistry, it's things happen when you want things to happen, and you don't know why or how. But the last two people that I've really been into have been just in my environment, and sparks were there, and that's what happened. And then it's turned out that these people, don't meet my expectations. And I say that like I've got this list and they're not performing well enough, but it's more like I want things to go a certain way and they don't, and so I just step away. Yeah. Which is just boring, and it's been a while since I've really, it felt like, it hasn't been, no, there was something in summer that was good, but but then terrible, I don't know. Yeah.
The ups and downs of
Yeah,
our love roller coaster.
Oh, and and I complain about it, but it's like, I was complaining, and then like, the next weekend, like something happens with someone else, and then it's like, and then now that I'm like, that's not going anywhere, so I'm gonna be sad for like a week, and then it never lasts that long until I have a new hope, but then it's like,
do you think your childhood was very fulfilled with love?
No. No, I had a very strong love, I had a very strong relationship with my brother. My brother and I are very close, and then my parents, I had good, my dad, I had a lot of trauma from my dad, but I did a lot of therapy around that, and not like horrible trauma, still very, not that bad, just right. He moved cities and emotionally disconnected, but yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to open this can of mental health.
Because we're right at the end, actually.
We just talked about, just before the recording started, let's not go into mental health. We just, let's keep it sexy.
Let's keep it sexy.
Keep it sexy, keep it freaky.
I'm not sure if we did a bit of that. There was some freakiness and sexiness. But yeah, all right. Any last things? That was an intense question.
Yeah. Sorry, it was like when you answered, I said, "Oi, whoa,
what are you doing?" You're like, we're both like, yeah, we find it hard to be vulnerable and communicate. Did you get enough love as a child?
Yeah, I think so many of those things come back to childhood.
Oof, yeah.
Like for me too. And I met girls that are really. That are so they don't need that much sex, and they are like, or boys as well, right? We're like, wow, if you don't have to think about sex so much, you must have so much more life energy or whatever. Like sometimes I ask myself if I'm masturbating too much and if I have too much sex, and that takes away some of my life energy because I don't want to face the realities of life, and then I'm just gonna bang it away, kind of.
Interesting. I think there's everything has its own moderation depending on the person, right? But I think having a healthy sexuality, like a connection with your sexual being is, it's a big part of who you are. We're not trained like that, but it is a big part. And yeah, I was recently, I'm going to put it in the past. I was recently seeing a guy, and every time we meet up, we have sex at least 3 times, at least 3 times. We have sex the night, and then in the middle of the sleep, and then in the morning or whatever. And
nice.
That's right for me. That is not too, that's where I like it. Whereas other guys.
What's the duration roughly?
Duration of how long of the actual sex?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Someone asked me this recently.
Because 10 minutes can be okay, right?
10 minutes can be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10, the thing, if it's going for hours, that gets exhausting after a while. Well, not even that long. After 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Drugs are different, right? Drugs change things, but soberish sex, I think it's 20 minutes is probably
all in all, with
fine.
Yeah. Starting with the spooning and then
starting with the including foreplay. Yeah. I think 20 minutes is very reasonable.
Oh, cool. Good to know.
Yeah. But that said, I've had some partners where it's crazy shit.
Yeah. What are you trying to prove here? What the hell?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe it was a younger thing, or maybe it was, I don't know. But yeah, I think 20 minutes is and I think that's a socially accepted amount of time, right? But ideally, just enough time for both parties to come. And
don't exhaust yourself too much over that. Let's just come and enjoy life afterwards.
It doesn't sex isn't not making sex the entire activity that you do together. Yeah.
So yeah, there was this guy or this person, and
Yeah.
you had 3 times a night. That was great.
Yeah, and I like
That's
that.
your amount, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. Whereas like I saw some other guys in the middle of the year, and it was like once,
Hmm.
and like quite short, and not a lot of care, not a lot of care into my orgasm or whatever. And yeah, like if I don't come, like we need to try a few more times, you know.
Mm.
And it usually takes me a while to come before, like when I get to know someone. But yeah, in that getting to know you stage, keep trying, you know, just because you came, well, there's the next morning, like fucking, yeah, give it a crack.
Yeah, do something with the fingers, do some gymnastics.
Please, exactly. But yeah. Ah,
Interesting.
yes, interesting. All right, anything you want to plug? Because it's 1:00, you've got a meeting you need to go to. Anything you want to plug?
No, thanks for having me. I want to start to put more videos on Instagram. I got some
Yeah.
crowd work, like some comedy stuff.
Very good.
I have to do that. It's just like the last 2 months was stressful with moving and working, and
Right.
but so now praying for a little lockdown to get some stuff sorted. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all kind of hoping for that.
But yeah, if your listeners, if they are interested in German comedy, come to German comedy shows.
Yeah.
My Instagram is Schäfer, like from Richard Schäfer, Schäfer. You will have that in the description probably.
Probably. Yes, your name will be in there.
And then, yeah, to everybody, have a good Christmas season. If you are Christian. If you're not, you will burn in hell. So that's... Anyway.
Oh, that's beautiful. Richard, it's been such a pleasure. Thanks for being here. That's been Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Thanks and see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.